Okay, Assalamualaikum, Madam AYUNI. My name is Muhammad Zulhafiz bin Bisnu, and I'm going to be presenting OSH1153 Physics, Application of Physics in OSH Practice. All right. First of all, physics is very important in our daily lives. In order for us to understand how certain things happen, we have to know the physics behind of everything. So it is also every bit important in OSH practice. So the theory that I'm going for today is the Newton's first law of motion, or also known as the inertia law. The first law of motion states that the net force, or the vector of sum of all forces acting on an object, is zero until there's a force acting on it. So in other words, objects will remain at rest until there's a force acting onto the object. So some examples of how physics is related to safety and health is understanding the Newton's law of motion. So we have to understand the Newton's law of motion in order for us to understand how accident happens, how accidents occur in workplaces, and at the same time, we can prevent it from happening once we understand the physics of things. Okay, so here are some examples of applications of physics in OSH. So some examples of the application of Newton's first law of motion in OSH is the inertia when moving and transporting of heavy loads, such as moving bricks in construction site and transporting heavy machineries on the back of a trailer. In a situation where transporting and moving object, if the object is not properly tied down or braced, object will have the tendency to move about and will eventually fall. So this is actually a good example of inertia law taking place. For example, moving bricks in a construction site, this is actually a very common activity that happens in almost every construction site in Malaysia, especially because we use a lot of bricks. So when we move bricks, bricks are usually moved in high amount, in high loads. So if you don't properly tie it down or brace the whole thing, the bricks on top will have the tendency to move about and will eventually fall if you don't properly tie it down. Then another good example would be transporting heavy machineries on the back of a trailer. So, for example, moving bulldozers or cranes into construction sites or out to a construction site. This is actually also a very common activity in construction where bulldozers come in and out. Sometimes because not all bulldozers can actually go onto roads, so they have to go on the back of a trailer. So when you put bulldozers on the back of a trailer, you have to properly tie it down to secure so that it doesn't move about. Because if you don't properly tie it down, it may roll back out of the trailer. So the preventive measure to prevent from all this accident to happen is, of course, to properly tie it down to the trailer. So here are a good example of heavy machineries being tied down on a trailer. As you can see in the picture, the machineries are both properly tied down with chain to the trailer. So without proper tie down, the trailer, the machine can easily roll down when the trailer starts moving. So this is actually inertia taking place because the trailer will move and the machinery as an object will tend to stay at rest until there's a force acting onto it. And this is example of lifting heavy objects in construction sites. So as you can see, the objects are being stacked in a few levels. If you don't properly tie it down as you can see in the picture, this is properly tied down. So if you don't tie it down properly, you will tend to the object on top will tend to move around and will have a tendency to fall. So thank you so much. That's all from me.